Today we'll be going over the most offensive games of all time. Gaming has allowed an extreme amount of creativity to people throughout the years, so there's bound to be a few people with somewhat violent ideas. Rockstar is known for having some pretty controversial games. The Grand Theft Auto franchise was heavily controversial, but not so much anymore. The 2006 game Bully, where you play as a 15-year-old in a school where you can beat up random kids. Yeah, you probably understand why it was controversial. The only Rockstar games that were actually banned was the Manhunt series. It's often viewed as one of the most violent and fucked up games of all time. The Manhunt franchise managed to shock people around the world with its extremely violent gameplay. Players could do some pretty messed up shit, like suffocating an enemy with a plastic bag and disemboweling someone with a sickle. The game has been banned in many parts of the world, including Italy, Australia, and Ireland. Honestly, I'm not surprised Australia banned it. Sometimes I'll be watching the Australian airport security shows, and the amount of strictness honestly makes me think they don't want anyone coming into the country. The Manhunt franchise has 2 games. The second one is known to be the most violent. Manhunt 2 was released in 2007 and was developed by Rockstar London, mainly for PC and PS2. The game follows a guy named Daniel Lamb, a mental patient suffering from amnesia. The primary gameplay mechanic is the stealth execution, and there are 3 levels of execution, with each level getting progressively more violent and graphic than the last. The mass controversy surrounding Manhunt 2 started only 2 days after its initial announcement. Following the game's release, it would be outright banned in Germany, Malaysia, New Zealand, and South Korea. The uncensored version of the game was also banned in Ireland, but was later allowed in its cut form under the PEGI 18 rating. In Italy, Minister of Communications Paolo Gentiloni expressed the desire to ban the game in the country, but no such ban came into effect. Take-Two Interactive has denied any plans to continue the Manhunt series, which is not very surprising considering how many countries have banned it. Next up is a game that has also been pretty controversial, but nowhere near the level of the Manhunt series. That game is Postal 2. There's plenty of other Postal games like the pretty recent Postal 4, which came out almost exactly a year ago. Postal 2 was released in 2003 for the PC and Mac. Postal 2 has a pretty high level of violence, stereotyping, and black comedy. A person which has a decent amount of appearances in Postal 2 is Osama bin Laden. This is way more offensive in the year 2003 than it is now, since 2003 was only 2 years after, well, that happened. What I like about Postal 2 is that the tasks you get in the game are pretty mundane. Well, at the start of the game at least. On Monday, you have 3 tasks. Pick up your paycheck, cash the paycheck, and get some milk. What about this can be violent or offensive, you might say? Well, when you go to get the milk, a terrorist comes in the store and starts shooting. When you go get your paycheck, a bunch of video game protesters come at you with guns. And finally, when you go to cash your paycheck, the bank gets robbed. As the game goes on, you get more and more weird tasks, like one that just says piss on dad, or one that just says get napalm. My point is, Postal 2 always finds a way to make a pretty mundane task into something crazy. Postal 2 also had a DLC called Paradise Lost, released in 2015. Overall, Postal 2 was much more media friendly, but far from actually being media friendly, because in 2004, the Office of Film and Literature Classification banned Postal 2 in New Zealand, citing high levels of violent content and animal violence. Distribution or purchase for personal use is a criminal offense, punishable by up to 10 years in prison and a fine of $50,000. So yeah, you can go to jail in New Zealand for playing Postal 2.
I've been here 10 years, and I ain't never getting out. Never. I ain't do much.
I purchased a copy of Postal 2.
In the Holy Land of Sweden, the Chancellor of Justice took the local distributor of the game to court. He was prosecuted with illegal depiction of violence, a crime falling under the Swedish Freedom of Speech Act. But the court dismissed the case on December 12, 2006. Postal 2 has also been removed from the German version of Steam. Regarding his views on the subject, Linux and Macintosh developer Ryan C. Gordon, who ported the games to those platforms, stated that he feels the game holds a mirror to the worst aspects of modern society, saying in an interview that the game is a brilliant caricature of our mangled, disconnected fast food society, disguised as a collection of dirty jokes and ultra-violence. Anyways, guys, that's gonna have to be it for today. I want to real quick thank you guys for all the support, but for me, going from like 30 to 153 at the time of filming this in about 3 weeks is crazy. But if you want to continue supporting me, make sure to click that big red subscribe button to never miss any future uploads. And like the video, it helps push my content out to more people. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day, and I'm out.